Jameer down to the 10. Jameer to the 5. Jameer to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Hand off Berry. Skirts to the left side. Breaks the tackle. And he will take it in. Touchdown.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. That's what I'm talking about. It is caught. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Oh, baby, what a play that time. Aiden Hutchinson read that and blew it up. Big time stand by that defense.
All right, welcome in, Lions fans. This is Lions Gray Manes pregame, and we're just about an hour and 20 minutes from kickoff between the Detroit Lions and the Cincinnati Bengals. My name is Chris Stone. I'm at castahead.net, and that gentleman on the right side of your screen, the Chief Intelligence Officer of Lions Blue Kool-Aid today, Dr. Brent Kreider. DBC, what's up, man?
Yeah, looking forward to today's game, Chris. How are you doing?
Happy Giovanni Manu Day to you, sir. And I'm also going to bring in the third member of the Gray Manes who's joining us today, and that is Dan Keener. Dan, live from Ford Field. Man, I can't believe there's so many people back there that didn't know that the game was in Cincy today.
Well, Paycor only holds about 60,000 people, so all those folks that made the trip down 75, they couldn't get in, just came right back home and went to Ford Field.
That's right.
Blue will be prevalent.
That's right. And so what better time than to pull up this shot right here, folks. This is a shot outside. This is probably about an hour ago. So those folks are probably nice. I mean, it's even thicker at Honolulu Blue right outside of the stadium. We should have a Honolulu Blue takeover today, even though they will be wearing their marshmallow uniforms today, which I love the marshmallows, man. The blueberries are awesome, obviously, and you look at the records. I was a little worried, Brent. I don't know. You or Dan, you can take this one. I don't know. I see sometimes people are they have the records of the Lions in blue pants, the records of the Lions in blueberries, the records of the Lions in marshmallows. I think we're doing okay with marshmallows and blueberries, but I wasn't so sure about the blue pants. And then when I saw the Bengals were wearing the white pants, I was like, uh-oh. Are we going white top with blue bottom? I don't think we do that well in those uniforms. Do they keep track of that stuff? Do you guys know? Does it matter?
Well, I'm pretty sure that the Lions are 8-0. They were 8-0 last year in all whites. And so, I'll take all whites anytime. I love the clean, crisp look of the all whites. Mike Terry was joking the other day about how it took him back to high school football and how the white, he just remembers the all whites in high school football. I just remember how dirty the all whites would get in the Michigan winters growing up there in Riverview.
Yep.
And so, but the Lions play very well in the all blues. They did wear them a couple times late last year, but and had their first couple losses, but the all whites have been great for the Lions over the last couple of years. And frankly, we haven't worn all whites in many, many years. That was an old Colts thing, if you remember. The Colts were all whites for many years in the 70s and 60s, if I remember right. And the Lions have always traditionally worn silver pants. And so that was a staple. I think William Clay Ford was pretty adamant about being a traditionalist in the sense of the uniform and the color schemes. And so, since the new regime has come in, really the all blue, what we call the blueberries, and the all whites have become much more common.
Dan, what are your thoughts on the uniforms? Does it matter? Or we just like the only thing that matters is that we can cover somebody today and block Trey Hendrickson, right?
I mean, yeah, that's the bottom line. But it's
I
just
love
a
the
matter of
history
how
lesson,
clean and how slick you look, beating the hell out of the other team.
There you go.
The last 3 years with Dan Campbell, you have the feeling you're never out of a game. No matter what we're wearing, no matter what moon it is, doesn't matter where the game's at. We are never out of a game. You rarely feel over the last 3 seasons that we're helplessly behind. So we're comfortably ahead for that matter. So yeah, I subscribe to a little bit of the superstition of the uniform stuff, but frankly, I'm just confident no matter what we're wearing, whatever we show up in.
I love that. Well, we were confident until we saw the inactives, but this is not a huge surprise if you've been following what happened earlier today. The Lions did announce that Taylor Decker was downgraded to doubtful, and our inactives, which were just announced a few minutes ago, Taylor Decker is in fact inactive for this game. And found another shot. This one we'll make sure that we give credit to Nolan Bianchi, who is at the game and took a shot, as you could see right here. Let's see if I can focus in a little bit more on this shot. It's a little bit grainy, probably from the upper deck or something like that. No pun intended, but that is Taylor Decker talking to Giovanni Manu, giving him the pointers right there as they're warming up. Obviously, Manu looks pretty sweaty. And so I think we need to talk about this. I mean, this is the biggest surprise, I think, or it's the biggest name, I should say, on the inactive list is Taylor Decker. And not just because we don't have super, like our confidence in Manu is not great. It's just who he's going against as well. And so my opinion on this, if I'm just going to, kind of put it out there, but I certainly welcome what you guys think, is that I think what's going to happen is the Lions have had Manu take the first team reps, for the last, couple weeks during the week anyway, because Decker wasn't practicing at all. Then they'd make him active before the game, giving the guy rest. He's dealing with a chronic injury. And so Manu's been in there, and so he's been able to communicate with everybody and kind of knows what to do. I think, the Lions are going to prepare like the other teams have prepared for Aiden Hutchinson against us, right? So you're going against one of the top premier pass rushers in the game, in Trey Hendrickson. Can still get it. He's only got 2.5 sacks in 4 games, but he's got like top 5 pressure rate right now against quarterbacks. So we're going to have to account for him and really not, as much as possible, not leave Manu on an island with Trey Hendrickson. That's a recipe for possibly getting Goff hurt. So I do suspect that they're going to do some chips. They're going to be bringing in Brock Wright. They're going to be doing a lot of stuff to help out the second-year man out of British Columbia to help through this. Wanted to get your take. You guys, either one of you guys can take this. Before I do this, I just want to make mention, because there are folks that are viewing us from all over the place. We're live on Twitch and X and YouTube and Facebook and all the places. But I want to make sure that the chat's open, and Wanda Rich, you brought your fan club here, DBC. She's just saying hi to you. Hi, Wanda. I'm here too. Dan's here too. Hi. Thanks for joining us. And she says, nice to see y'all at a pregame show. Got a question for you. How do you see it's almost like Wanda knew before we even started going there. It's like I almost knew what was in your mind. We're mind readers here at Gray Manes. How do you see Manu holding up against the Bengals front? Guys, I'll roll this question over to you. Anybody, if you want to join in, this is a pretty much a free-for-all pregame. We want to get hyped for the game. We want to get your thoughts, your predictions on the game, if they've adjusted since this inactive list. And Brent, let me roll it to you, because Wanda is she wants to hear what you have to say so badly.
Well, I think we covered this on the show this week, but if we didn't, let me just first and foremost say it's great to have all the folks that tune into the show. We really appreciate everybody. The numbers have been growing tremendously, and we're so happy to be able to share this engagement with you guys. The Lions are certainly all of our favorite football team, and it seems like we've got a growing horde of folks that are joining us each week now, and hopefully in the pregame shows. But let's remember that Jared Goff hasn't been sacked since the Green Bay game. Right. The Lions' protection has been fantastic, and so what Giovanni Manu, and you hit on this, Chris. I was going to bring up the point that Giovanni's been practicing first team reps every week this year because of making sure that we can keep our offensive line intact as best we can. And we all know Taylor Decker's a stud, and he had all season shoulder surgery. And so, for him to get a chance to take a week's break here and heading into that tough back-to-back game stint that we have against Kansas City and Tampa Bay, is very, very important. So first and foremost, it gives Manu a chance to prove his worth. We know that the Lions went out there and drafted him a couple of years ago. There's been a much discussion about his development and about his abilities, and today's a chance to prove it. And why not go up against arguably one of the top 2 or 3 defensive ends in the National Football League? Trey Hendrickson is just an absolute rugged, tough edge who can bring it off of the corner and put pressure on quarterbacks, even against the best offensive tackles in the game. Him and the defensive end from the Browns that we played last week are probably the 2 top overall defensive ends. Aiden's certainly in the growing category and right there, close to where they are, but they are long-term proven defensive ends. And Trey Hendrickson is no joke. He can disrupt your offense in many, many ways. And so what the Lions must continue to do in order to counter the fact that there may be some pressure on Goff that he hasn't had through the last 3 games is to get a lot of plays off quickly. So a lot of play action, hitting receivers on the hooks and the ins and the outs, the drags, and using his momentum against him. We know how you can do that with screen passes. You let him come and you dump off screen passes to his side and get the offensive line out in front. So there's a number of techniques that the Lions can employ in order to kind of alleviate the pressure that they inevitably know he's going to bring off of that edge. But the bottom line is that one of the big keys to the game is the Bengals' ability to get that Lions offense off the field. Their defense has been really bad against stopping their opponents in third down conversions. They're not doing very well against the run. They're not doing very well against the pass. And as you guys will see on the Gray Manes website that Dan's been posting, this is a recipe for the Lions to score a lot of points. The way that could be affected or impacted, of course, is by not making sure that Trey Hendrickson is taken care of. So he is a key to the game, and inevitably, the reason that defensive ends make so much money, they're right there behind quarterbacks and receivers, are right there with receivers in terms of the second highest paid position group in the NFL, and it is because of their ability to disrupt offenses and get pressure on quarterbacks. And the last thing I'll mention before I turn it over to Dan is we all know Jared Goff's known for being very, very good when you keep him clean, right? We love a good, fresh, clean, white uniform. And when Jared Goff is not getting a lot of pressure put on him by the defense, he is one of the highest rated passers in the NFL, and frankly, probably in the NFL history. He's a 70-something% completion percentage, and that's directly a result of their ability to protect him and keep that pocket clean. So today is going to be a test to see how well he gets time with Manu playing there at left tackle. Now, Dan, just real quick, Dan, what do you think about the chances of them switching Sewell over to left tackle and putting Manu at right tackle? I
think it's 0%, and mainly because of what you said earlier. He's taken every rep at left tackle with the first team over the last 3.5 weeks since Decker's shoulder flared up in that last practice of week 1. So I don't see that happening unless Manu either is totally whiffs and plays poorly, and they have to bring in what's the other kid's name? Colston or Colston?
Colton, yeah.
Cochran. Devin Cochran. Now Cochran's played, he was on the Bengals for a while, so he's played against Hendrickson, so he's got some experience against him. But Hendrickson primarily will play over the left tackle, but they do move him around much like they do with Lions do with Hutchinson. I just can't see them taking that favorable matchup and trying to put him on Penne. I just don't see them taking a clear advantage and moving him, putting strength on strength. But I digress into that. I think that the actual most important people today, it's actually not Manu. He's going to get plenty of help. He's going to get the backs are going to chip. They're going to put a tight end over there. To me, the most important lineman is actually the 3 interior guys. Because if you ever watch Hendrickson play, he is predominantly a speed rush guy to the outside. Now he doesn't have that wicked spin. He does have a good inside counter. He doesn't have that wicked spin that say Hutchinson has.
Right.
So most of his pressure, if you watch his highlights, they're beating them around the outside edge. So why I say the interior line is important is because Goff's gonna have to step up into the pocket.
Yeah.
And if he's got big old BJ Hill and TJ Slayton and Mike Pennell and Chris Jenkins Jr. in his face when he steps forward to get past, Osai or Hendrickson, then that's the recipe for disaster. But I think the Lions are going to go with a quick hitting, like quick pass game initially. Let Hendrickson tire himself out. They'll take advantage of his natural aggressiveness, maybe some, inside handoffs, on his side of the pass rush, to try and get underneath him and let Manu, let him take his natural upfield ability and let him take himself out of the play. So we'll see how it goes, but I expect that John Morton will have plenty of counters to him because they know he is by far and away the biggest threat on that defensive line. Outside of that, there's not a lot of threats on that defense. There's some good players, but there's no, a team like a healthy Ravens, Pro Bowlers at every level. The Browns, they had Pro Bowlers in their defensive backfield. They have defensive linemen. All four of their D linemen are very active. Well, you don't have that with the Bengals. They're kind of a one-hit wonder on their front line there. So,
yeah, I think that's a good take. I also think that you can't. The whole thing when everybody's disappointed about Decker being out in this game, but we got to realize we have two incredibly tough matchups coming up after this game, and it feels like this is the game where you're like, let's let Decker get better. Give him another week. We're going to play the Chiefs. We're going to play the Bucks. Those are incredibly tough teams. A healthy Taylor Decker, or at least percentage healthier Taylor Decker going against those teams feels good. And I feel like Campbell's going to have them prepared. They're not going in here going, whoops, Decker's out. Let's throw in the next guy. This has been things that they've been planning on all along. There's preparation happening here, and it's making us forget too. And Dan, I'm glad you brought up the interior guys as well, but it's also making us forget about the other side of the ball, which we were talking about so much, was our DBs. We're moving Amik to the outside. We know that. We know Terrion's been back. That doesn't exactly make us feel great, right? Because we need Terrion to play better. So Dan, I wanted to, or actually, let me roll this to DBC. They put Amik in at the end of the year to cover Justin Jefferson. And I think we were all just about as nervous as you get for that. And he held his own. I think Jefferson had maybe 3 catches, 4 at the most. And when the division was on the line and Amik came in and played well, how you feel about the secondary, guys, with Amik moving over? What's going on in the nickel position now that Amik's moving over, and obviously DJ Reed's out for on IR for a number of weeks. How do you think that's going to play out? I know we have Browning back there, but we have quite possibly the best wide receiver duo in the NFL, and I mean that with full respect. Yeah. These guys are great. T. Higgins is a monster, and of course Jamar Chase is likely the best wide receiver in the NFL.
You can have the fanciest, most cool-looking vehicle in the world, but if the engine is garbage, then the rest of the car doesn't go.
Okay, so Dan's confident that we're okay, huh?
I wouldn't say I'm confident. I fully expect that either Higgins or Chase will pop one on us. They'll take advantage, or, this crew, I posted about it every week. I post the tendencies of the crew. This crew they're very active looking at the 5 yards on either side of the line, lots of false starts, holds, things like that. But they also are DPI and defensive holding happy too. So both teams are pretty aggressive in that nature. We'll see how it goes. They get Noah Fant back this week, so maybe our linebackers are going to have to be a little more focused on him, making sure he doesn't break loose, because their other linebacker, Drew Sample, I think they have Mike Gesicki too. Those 3 guys, I don't think the other 2 are quite nearly as pass catching capable as Fant is, but my concern today, I think we'll be able to just continue to outscore them, and I don't think that's going to really matter in the long run. But can our DBs hold up? Will they stay healthy? We've got guys we can just continue to throw at them that are up. You've got Avonte Maddox. He's a hybrid guy. So you got Rock Ya-Sin, you've got Arnold, you've got Maddox, you got a Meek. I don't know if they didn't bring who's the corner they brought up? Not Whiteside. That's the other kid. They brought up Trey Flowers. So
How
we've got
much does
quite a
Flowers
bit.
get today, you feel? I feel like he's probably like, let's see if we have to put him in, right? We just signed him.
I think someone posted about him. He has long arms and he's a tall, big physical corner. So I would expect he's the kind of guy they would throw in at like a nickel back against the tight end type thing where he can support in a run and he can handle a bigger tight ends, because Font, he's not a small guy, I don't believe. I think isn't he like 6'4" or something like that? 6'4", 250. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
So, Flowers would be a very capable guy to cover him if need be, and also in run support. Not that I think the Bengals are going to run a whole lot. I mean, their running backs are Chase Brown and Samaje Perine, so I don't think we're going to see a whole lot going on there.
I mean, ever since Burrow's been out, it's just been a different offense altogether. They just can't. Chase Brown is a great running back. He really is. I mean, I've he 1,200 yards last season. He's capable. I just feel like ever since Burrow's been out, they just have not been the same. And yeah, Brent, your thoughts on that? And I know you had a lot of love for our linebackers. Jack Campbell isn't exactly the best in coverage, but how are we gonna do in the linebacking core today?
Well, just to build on what Dan and you were talking about with the secondary before we move, last year Khalil Dorsey got a lot of play as well. As we had all those injuries late in the season. So I think you've got the combination of Maddox, Rock Ya-Sin, and Khalil Dorsey.
Dorsey's out. He is out with the concussion. That's why I didn't bring him up, unfortunately.
Is he? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is that I think it'd be a pretty bad day if you end up seeing a guy that you sign off the street, although we have a lot of experience in signing guys off the streets and them getting playing time, right? But in terms of linebackers, I'm more worried about isolation of Anzalone, 1-to-1 on running backs on those out and ups. We've seen the Bengals use that in years past against us.
Yeah.
They scored, I think it was 3 years ago now, that they ran multiple isolations on running backs in motion, getting them isolated with our linebackers and taking them up the field. So Campbell runs much better than Anzalone does, and so I'd be more comfortable if with Campbell against the tight ends with Gesicki and Fant than I would be against having Anzalone chase running backs out of the backfield. So it's all going to be up to the design, right? The Bengals have to have a master class game plan today and be able to take advantage of ISOs and be able to take advantage of those scenarios where they'll be able to pick on players one-on-one. If the Lions can get pressure up the front and on the edge, then I think all bodes well, because what you're going to see them throwing the ball up to the outside, and you could see multiple interceptions from our safeties over the top. Look, Brian Branch is a playmaker. He loves to come up and strike folks in the flats. And so that's one thing that the Lions do have to their advantage in our ability, because he plays that hybrid strong safety and linebacker. And Branch's ability to come up and strike tight ends and running backs in the flats is something that is very good for us, in this sense that the Bengals, if they do try to focus on those short intermediate routes using the tight ends and the running backs, I feel that plays to our strength, to be frank. The worst thing that can happen is you get ISOs on the outside with those stud receivers. And Dan's brought this up multiple times over the course of the past few months. The Bengals pay their top 4 players something outrageous, like 40-something% of their salary cap.
Yeah.
And their depth is lacking. So if we can put any kind of pressure on the quarterback today, and we can force them to make quick throws, then I will guarantee you that our predictions on the scores of this game are going to be close to what you see today. There's watching the Vikings play the Browns and watching the Browns defense against the Vikings. The Vikings pulled it out at the end, of course, this morning in London, but the Lions have a special ability to, number one, create offensively. The Bengals don't have the ability to cover the Lions in the same way that even the Browns had, and we scored 34 points. And then lastly, the truth of the matter is that the Bengals offense really only has 2 weapons, and an inability to throw the ball to them. You saw how frustrated Jamar Chase was last week. Very frustrated, 5 or 6 catches, was not able to become a big part of the game plan. And so I think the Lions will certainly know where Higgins and Jamar Chase are all over the field today.
Yeah. Mike Anderson's joining us from YouTube. What is up, Mike? Thanks for joining Lions Gray Maine. So yeah, Mike, we've covered that Decker was out today, and thanks for joining us. But yeah, Decker being out, kind of knew he was downgraded to doubtful. Looks like Manu is the man who is going to be in, and then sort of the backup, not emergency option, but the backup is the new tackle who is used to going up against Trey Hendrickson in practice. Kind of feel like, just to summarize everything, we don't feel like Sewell's going to do that. It's going to be mostly like let's work to kind of chip Hendrickson. And Dan brought up as well, the interior of our line is going to have to be solid and communicate as well, because Hendrickson does come inside a lot, and he also is rushing on the outside and pulling 2 people out there to block him. The interior guys are going to have to communicate. So thanks for joining us. And Mike also wants to know what our score prediction is. And for those of you who go to thegraymanes.com, that's where every week we put our score prediction on. Guys, do you want to adjust your scores based on this? I have a feeling the way Dan was talking,
No.
Dan doesn't matter. It could be Joe Montana at quarterback today. He's sticking with his 45-13 prediction. You want to adjust that, Dan, with the Decker? No? Okay.
No, it's Jake Browning. The guy's a statue. He's a liability back there. He's a turnover machine. You look at his stats. The Bengals here's the thing. The Lions jump all over them, and they have to jump all over them. They need to go up early, force them to become one-dimensional, and our pass rush will just overwhelm that Bengals O-line. They're just – I think they have most of their starters there, but again, it was alluded to by Brent that via me, when you pay your quarterback and your 2 wide receivers the bulk of your offensive money, and you don't protect them with your offensive line, then you're not protecting your investment, and it's going to get your quarterback hurt, which it has, and it's going to kill your season. This is the second time in the last 3 years, or second in 4 years, where Burrow's gone down because Mike Brown is too damn cheap to go out and buy a good offensive line or draft one.
Yep.
I mean, Brad Holmes, first thing he did, we need to bolster this offensive line. This is to protect the entire team. It makes the running game go. It makes the passing game go. It protects our franchise quarterback and our stud position players. You think about it, we have a guy that's capable at every skill position to have a breakout game. The Bengals have 2.5 if you count Fant. That's it. So
yep.
I'm not worried.
So hang on,
question,
Brent.
Chris.
Let me
Yeah.
just make sure that that we're because we got folks in the chat. This is what it's about, pregame, not us just talking, but we want to chat with you as well. Mike, give us your prediction, Mike Anderson, on how you feel like the game's going to go today. The line did get adjusted to just 10 from 10.5. So after that announcement was made, if that matters to anyone, Wanda says short but sweet. I'm not sure what that is referring to. Hopefully you're not talking about, a body.
That's how long it's going to be a game.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Wanda. I appreciate that. Wanda, what's your prediction on the game? We want to know, as well as Brian Soder, all the way from, let me see if I can pronounce it. Let me, is it Wiesbaden, Germany? Is that how it is?
Wiesbaden.
Wiesbaden. Okay.
Yeah.
Soda Pop, what is your prediction for the game? It's great to see you, one of the long-standing Detroit Lions email listers in the house. Thanks for joining us. Give us your prediction, please. And this dude, this is Jim Fuse from Fusion Marketing, my business partner, joining us for today. He is a Washington Commanders fan, ladies and gentlemen, but I will have you know he's such a great friend that last year when we lost and had that debacle, he knew he avoided me like for days. He was like, I'm not coming near Chris, I just am not. Friend. Yeah, that is he didn't drive me nuts with that. So Jim, give us your prediction on the game. We'd love to know. Wanda says 42-27 Lions. 42-27. Well, you guys are thinking we're going to be dropping 40 burgers all over this place. This is incredible. I think maybe I should
ourselves in the foot.
Oh, but here's somewhat. Oh, look at this. Well, Mike's not going to give us a final score. He's just going to say we're going to win by 14 or 17 points. That's pretty. Okay, come on, Mike. Give us a score, man. Come on. Come on. Let's get some guts.
Classic hedging your bets.
It is. And just so you know, and I'll roll this over to you. It says Mike says they'll travel well today. Soda Pop says 35-10 Lions. I like that one because that's close to my prediction. You and I, Brian. Yes. Oh, look at this. Jim Fuse predicts my prediction. This was and I did not listen. Jim and I talk, every other day. We're business partners, but I did not tell him any of this. So he picked the exact score that I picked. So unless he's going to thegraymanes.com and seeing what I said,
he must have went to the Graymanes.
You think so? No, Jim wouldn't do that. He's he's a Marine. Come on, he's a Marine. So like he ate some crayons back in the day, but he knows what he's doing.
And we did lead paint chips in our day. So.
Here's a shout out to Brian Soder. Soder Pop and I had the pleasure of working together in Japan, and I introduced him to the Lions list back in those days.
Nice.
I hope Simon Dale's out there listening today as well, and all the other listers from Slack and formerly from the list. But let me go back to the question that you asked. So here's some, again, I love my statistics, guys.
Here we go.
I love it. The points per game, Bengals ranked number 30. Yards per game, ranked number 32 at 205.3 yards per game. Passing yards per game, 155.3, ranked number 30. Rushing yards per game, 50, ranked number 32. And points per play, ranked number 25 in the NFL. Their offensive line is porous. And so I will say that I'm not changing my score. And if you go back to the score predictions, there's only one of us that's spot on, that's predicted the exact number of points this year.
He's flexing already, Dan.
That was me last week. What are you talking about?
Oh, was that you?
Look at the total points. Look at
no.
Oh, wow.
We scored 34 points last week against Cleveland, and I predicted the Lions would score 34 points.
No.
Now, your point total, your cumulative, that means above and below, your net total is -4.
I think you're making this stuff up just to suit. You're making the rules up just to suit you, Dan. That's what
hell yeah, I am.
Well, anyway,
that's what somebody who lives in Columbus does.
I had the score 38-10. We won 34-10. 38-10. I think I won the closest score to the game, Dan. But
I was 34-17. So
that's more than me, Dan.
But remember, it's about the Lions' cumulative score. It doesn't matter what the opposition scores. You got to read the rules, my friend. I was dead on. I had a net gain of 0. The problem is I'm 17 points over or under because I predicted us to score 27 against the Bears, and we dropped the 50 spot on them.
I think you're like 30 something points off, right?
Come on, man.
Anyway,
My
doesn't
my
matter.
Excel skills are much better than yours. You're an upper management stooge, you know. I'm a grunt. I know how to use Excel, man. I'm the guy that makes you look good in the business world.
Jim said he had no idea that I picked that score of 38-10. So for those who just may be listening, Brent's prediction is where is it? 48-9. 48-9.
Yeah, the Vikings scored 48 against the Bengals a couple weeks ago, and I just with the offensive stats that I just put out, I can't see them getting more than
with
3
Giovanni Manu at left tackle. We're going to score 48 points.
In our defense, this was made with the assumption that Decker was going to play.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
I'm still not changing it though.
Oh, you're not. So okay. So
my score has at least one, maybe two defensive or special teams scores baked into it. We put up 27 offensive points against the Browns. This defense is not as good as the Browns. There's one guy on this defense you fear. The Browns had an entire front defensive line. 3 of the 4 guys you feared, and they had all pros at safety and cornerback. This team ain't it. So I'm sticking with it. Even with Hendricks, we'll figure out a way around him. He might be disruptive early, but Shepard, you know how he makes adjustments. He's going to totally neuter him by the end of this game.
Yeah, I can't see. I mean, it's still the NFL, right? And you do on any given Sunday, any team can win. We know that football is one of those games. Look at what UCLA did to Penn State yesterday. Shocking, the number 7 ranked team in the country, 0-4. And so football, if you don't come ready to play, and I have the utmost confidence in Dan Campbell, and the Lions will show up to play today, and they will put up a lot of points. And frankly, I think the Lions are going to be able to run the ball quite easily against that defensive front. And then, once they establish the run, that opens the passing lanes up. Look for JMO to have a couple long touchdowns today as well.
It's time. He should.
And he after those drops that he had last week, and look how motivating. We've heard the players talk about this. How motivating is it to have Detroit Lions fans ever since that Kansas City game? And I had the pleasure of being in Kansas City. 80,000 fans,
was
loudest
awesome.
stadium
that was so loud
in the NFL. And we had so many Lions fans there. It was crazy. And Jahmyr Gibbs and all of the players often talk about how what an advantage it is to have the Lions fans that travel like they do. And so coming into Cincinnati today, there are, from what I gathered, it's a takeover. There's probably 25,000 Lions fans in the city there for the game, and you'll see the Lions have as much cheering as the Bengals. So even the home field advantage part to this is not going to be what it traditionally is for the Bengals, because that stadium gets pretty loud. It's designed really well to hold the noise in and to make it difficult on opposing teams. But the number of Lions fans today is going to be a real advantage for the Detroit Lions against the Bengals.
Here's a shot of Jahmyr Gibbs warming up in the marshmallows, and I see a lot of blue behind him in the seats. They're still they're filing in, but you could see a lot of blue, and this does feel like a Honolulu blue takeover for sure. We're gonna be hearing lots of Jared Goff in the crowd for sure. And the 2fan, thank you for joining us again. Says Google AI says that Cincy's only hope is their wide receiver play and the pass rush of Hendrickson against the backup left tackle. Any chance Detroit is already looking past the Bengals? This is okay. This is a good. I mean, there's no such thing as a trap game with Dan Campbell, the 2fan. There is no such thing as a trap game. They have prepared. They won't come out flat. This is not a team that does that. They came out flat in week 1, but I think that is an anomaly, and I think they have to fix that. I
think that was more of a fact that the Green Bay Packers spent their entire offseason trying to beat the Lions in game 1.
Yeah.
And more so than the Lions having two brand new coordinators, new starting center, new starting right guard. I mean that was what week 1 was about was, and I touched on that where Dan Campbell, that's the one place I disagree with him. I feel like we need to get more playing time for our starters in the preseason to get those jitters and get that gelling done before the first week of the season. So, clearly this year we laid an egg, especially with all the brand new coordinators and everything. But I will say this isn't a trap game strictly because of the fact that they've known all week that they have to prepare a backup left tackle and a revamped secondary due to injuries. They're fully aware of who is going to be out there, who they're playing, so they're not taking them for granted because our strengths have been slightly downgraded because of due to the injuries and pulling out some of our better players. So I don't think it'll be a trap game because they know that they have to take care of business and address these deficiencies, perceived deficiencies. And frankly, what we don't know is maybe this is the point where they finally felt that Manu has been practicing well enough now
Yeah,
that they finally felt that Decker could take a game off.
that's not a bad call.
And
Yeah.
if we lose, we lose, but Manu is finally prepared and ready. I mean, Campbell has repeatedly made comments about him continuing to take steps forward.
Yeah.
And, either Decker had a setback or Manu has stepped forward enough that they feel comfortable allowing him to give Decker some time off to try and let that heal. So could be either way, or a combination of the two.
I like that thought.
The run is key here, right? And Dan Campbell is very good to point out, respect the game first and foremost. And number two, every win in the NFL is special, regardless of who you're playing. Respect the game, play the game to win. And in the end, I think that we literally could go the rest of our lives and not have another coach like Dan Campbell in the sense that he is so motivating for the players. The players respect him, and they are going to show up today as if this game were the Super Bowl. The Lions, and I said this weeks ago, the loss against the Washington Commanders and then the opening loss against Green Bay was the best thing that could have happened to this Detroit Lions football team. They're motivated, they're focused, and you're going to see the best of them come out today. And don't be surprised if Jamo, if Gibbs, if Montgomery, and Amon-Ra just does his thing, his normal thing, and has 100 yards receiving, a touchdown or two, and the Lions will spread the ball around and keep the quick play action passes and make it so that the Bengals have a very difficult time getting off the field defensively.
Yeah, so yes. Jim here has got a good point, and I think this. It kind of is one of those deals where you feel like maybe Green Bay, to Dan's point, prepared all offseason to beat us because we had kind of owned them in the past few years. But also, I don't know how well we prepared in the preseason. So there was a rust, and when we came out in the first, we ended up beating Kansas City, and then we ended up beating Tampa Bay last year as well. But we came out pretty cold and rusty. And so Jim brings up a good point. He thinks the issue across the NFL in regards to how they treat preseason, that's the issue, is that they treat preseason, a certain way. And we got the joint practices, and obviously that's a big thing for Campbell to maximize things. But at this point, that feels like a next season problem, right? That's not a thing in the next half hour when we kick off that we could solve at this problem. And thank God they got over
important it. Today. Important today is and related to that point, because we talked about that in the first couple episodes. If you want to go back and watch them, Jim. But the fact of the matter is that the Lions are taking the long view. The Lions are not interested in winning in the preseason. Mm-hmm. They're interested in building momentum through the course of the year. And so, if you give up a game at the start of the year, like they did last year against Tampa Bay and against Green Bay this year, I'll take that any day to win 11 games in a row, to win 12 games in a row, and to take, the long view in this. you're not going to win every week in the NFL. It's just not going to happen. And so, when folks talk about the trap games and they talk about, the Bengals this week and the Browns last week, the reality is that that this Detroit Lions team is, because of their playmakers and because of the players that we have on all levels of our offense and defense, are able to compete at the highest level in the NFL. And so when Montgomery has a bad day last week, fully expect that Montgomery is not going to have a bad day today. When Gibbs has a down day 2 weeks ago, he's not going to have a bad day last week. And so, that's the beauty of this.
That's
is
right.
We are built to win for the long run, and we have multiple ways that we can do it. And I really don't care if we won a preseason game or if we lost a game early in the year. I don't want to lose a game late in the year again. And so, as we go through these trick games, these trap games, then you're going to see the mental toughness, whether or not the Lions are as mentally tough as we believe that they are, in being able to compete against the teams that frankly are not so strong this year.
Let's
Dan,
put
I'm
it this
sorry, I
way:
interrupted you.
the Packers loss. I made mention of them trying to beat us. And I made mention of the fact that I don't think that this year was the year we should have held our guys out, and I'll tell you why. There's a magic number as to why, and that magic number is 8. Do you guys know what that 8 represents?
I don't.
Okay. That 8 represents the total amount of assistant coaches, including the 2 coordinators, that this team lost between last year and this year. You lost everybody of consequence with the exception of your special teams coordinator and your offensive line coach. And you didn't spend time in the preseason. Your linebacker coach got promoted to defensive coordinator, so you still have to replace your linebacker coach, right? So my point being is that you had 8 people in different positions, different roles this year, then they should have done more in the preseason to mitigate that Packers loss. Now, to Brent just made a great point. It's irrelevant. We played, we lost. They're overconfident. They think they're going to woodshed us when they come back here in the fall, later this year. It's not happening, right? This team's hitting its stride. These coaches are now into their new roles. They have their adjustment patterns down. They know what they're doing now. And, they've done it in games. Even Campbell admitted that. He said so much after that loss that he pretty much admitted that they should have done more simulation other than in game, than practice. They needed to play against other teams and get how they react to it. So I think we'll be fine, unless we get into an injury situation again. You guys all made great points about this team is built for the long haul. They're very mentally tough. And, I know we're about out of time here. We only got about 10 minutes left here, but Brent, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. Chris, you too. These guys, they play every week like they're fighting for Wayne Fontz's job. So
the big buck.
They are playing to keep Wayne Fonts
Cocaine
employed.
Wayne.
We all went through that back in the 80s. We'd go a year against the last place schedule. I think I mentioned this last time. We played great, and then we played a first place schedule, and we'd just get trampled.
Yep.
And then at the end of the year, they had, William Clade Ford would say, "You got to win 2 out of the last 5 to keep your job." Well, they'd managed to win 2 out of the last 5, and Wayne would get to keep his job for another year, and we get to play a last place schedule and make the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see what happens today. I mean, we could be completely wrong, but I have a good feeling. I'm like Brent. I'm an analytics guy by nature. That's my profession, and I look at stats and I trust my own eyes more than I trust talking heads, which apparently we've become.
Yeah.
But,
hey, speak for yourself.
Logic and common sense, there's a place for that.
Sure.
And it's been forgotten in most of this world right now. Right now, though, when you look at logic and common sense, we have 2 wild cards with 2 guys that went down. As long as we don't suffer any more injuries, we should score 20 points. We should win this game. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I like that
Yeah,
logic. And here's a live shot here of the outside of, no, that's not Ford Field, ladies and gentlemen.
Who are those guys in orange?
That is that is the scene outside of
Let me
the
tell you what
stadium
that is.
today.
That's the scene of a bunch of Cincinnati Bengals fans trying to make the most out of their season by selling their tickets at an inflated
Right.
price to those people from up north.
That's right.
Yeah.
They're going to pay for their entire season for this one game.
Yeah, and so while
Don't think the stripe out's going to work today. It's going to be blue.
while we enjoy this Honolulu blue out, we do have some great comments coming in here. Soda Pop's got a comment here. The Pats and Bill Belichick started the trend. If you had the players on the roster use preseason in the first part of the season to figure things out and gearing up the teams for the playoffs. So that's something, again, this feels like hey,
Play
let's
your best ball at the end of the year.
let's make sure at this point there's nothing we can do about the preseason. We'll have to worry about the preseason after this season for sure. The Two Fan, thanks again for joining us as well. One additional comment the Two Fan mentions here: the execution of the Gray Manes live streams is so well done, and your platform is top notch. Particularly impressed by the additional content presented during the streams. Oh, thanks.
It's all Chris. We're just window dressing. He dusted our fat old butts off and said, "Hey, you guys want to do a podcast? Sure, why not?"
It was actually DBC who pushed me. I think he's been a fan of the stuff that I do and produce, and he was like, "Hey, we need to do one together." And I thought, yeah, why not? I mean, I've only known you knuckleheads now for 30 plus years. Like, why not?
Yes.
Why not do that? Love it. The Lions fans travel. Mike Anderson says it was like that season in Arizona. The Lions took over the Cardinals stadium. Yep. And then those extra videos are awesome. Yeah, let's give credit. The Detroit Lions fan page here is the video that we're using. So go follow the DLFP on Twitter. We want to make sure that we play nice. Like if people use our stuff, we want to we'd like to reciprocate and do the same. We appreciate everybody joining us. And if you haven't put your score prediction in, please do. We'll keep track of these as well. I don't know how we're going to do it, but we'll do it. And maybe honor system. We'll do something crazy at the end of the year. We do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. We love to have the chat interaction, have everyone join. Of course, if you can't make it live, it lives as replay on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and everywhere, all the tubes, as long as, Musk and Zuckerberg and all those guys allow it to sit up there. It'll be available. And of course, as an audio podcast as well on all the podcast players. And make sure that you go to thegraymanes.com and follow the great content. And look, I took a little credit for all the pretty pictures that are happening today, but the gentleman on the right side of your screen should take a lot of credit for what happens on that website. It is full of great information. I mean, I didn't even know that I needed to know what was going on with the officials every week, but now I know everything that's going on with the officials every week and the injuries and
on our website.
All that stuff is there.
Got it out there.
And Fleeting EXP coming in on the wire with 31-13 Lions. That sounds a little more realistic.
That sounds about
to me.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wait a minute. You predicted like 49-2 or something, didn't you, Dan? So it was.
I think I predicted. 43 to what I predict. 45-13 is what I predicted.
Man. And we've got some other shots. This is again from our friend Nolan Bianchi, who's there on the field. This is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sun God there with Ocho Cinco. Getting those tips. Hey, give me some last minute things that I could do to beat your former team. What do you say? Is probably what he's saying. Nah, I'm sure it's
Ocho Cinco was stunned with the turnaround of the Lions. He had posted several things online and was shocked at the response he was getting to his polls. He thought that the Bengals, I think he thought these were the Lions from when he was playing and not the Lions the last 4 years. So pretty surprising.
Yeah, and Mike Anderson says Gibbs about to score. Oh well, did we miss kickoff? Apparently, we might have missed kickoff. Troy Soder says
he's gonna score time and again.
About to score.
I mean,
Oh,
they're
God.
spotting us 10 points according to the professionals, so might as well just give it to Gibbs.
Oh God, my monitor's going nuts here. Let me see if I can orchestrate this. But we got a comment here from Troy Soder. Troy says, I went to the Tampa game last year with my dad, and the Lions fans took over. After the game, numerous Lions came out and greeted the fans running around the stadium with Sewell leading the effort. Yeah, that's an amazing thing, is that they understand. Like, don't you just feel like when they win the chip, when they get the ring, when they hold the Lombardi high and the confetti, the Honolulu blue, white, and silver confetti falls from the sky, the first thing that they're going to say is, we did this for the city. Don't you feel like that's going to be it?
It's going to look like Devil's Night in February.
100%. Hey,
burn that city down.
For those of you that'll be at the Tampa game, come
thing.
by and say hi. Section 100, row 36. I'm always there, and I love when folks stop by and say hi.
Well, but Brent, keep posting photos of yourself so I can do a where's Waldo with Brent in the stadium like I did last week. So
right over your left shoulder, and Dan, right there above the tunnel.
Oh, the wrong way.
Yeah.
We apparently
up there somewhere.
Apparently, we've influenced Wanda. She's changing her guess to 42-7 Lions. Sounds better anyhow. Okay, yeah, that does sound better to me. I like that. And
I mean, holy smokes! I'm looking at all the early games, and Dallas is just rolling. The Jets are getting rolled.
I just watched
30-14 Dallas. Jets right now are Houston, is just absolutely destroying Baltimore.
Of interest, guys, the Denver Broncos
Eagles
just converted on a 2-point conversion instead of tying the game against the Eagles, so they're up 18-17. And I mean, I'm always tracking.
Yeah,
I'm always tracking, and yeah.
Mike Anderson, go Tigers. That's right. We failed to shout out. We failed to shout out our Detroit Tigers, keeping us up late here on the eastern part of the United States and pulling it out in extra innings over the Mariners. I was about ready to tell the world that A.J. Hinch screwed it up again with pulling all the mojo and throwing in 48 pitchers. But we did it. We won, and thanks to Zach McKinstry. Kerry Bonds with a bomb. And then, of course, as Dan said, happy Tarek Skubal day today, because it's always great when your ace is taking the mound with a 1-0 lead on the road.
With only the need to win 2 more games, you got Skubal pitching 2 more games potentially. So,
in this Eagles Denver game, Denver has the ball. Brent, you failed to mention that. There's under 4 minutes left in the game, and they're driving right now.
Yeah, they're right at the 50-yard line, lead. 1 point ahead. We're announcing the other games right now.
Hey, it's at Lincoln Financial Field, so that tells you all you need to know. This Denver team's for real. They've got a good defense. Bo Nix has settled them down, and guess what? This is the same. That team right there has got the same core principles that the Lions have, because that's Campbell's old boss.
Oh, Panthers just scored.
A lot of that came out of there.
Panthers scored to go ahead of the Dolphins.
I'm trying to talk my wife into letting me leave a conference in Orlando to drive up to hit the Commanders and Eagles games and visit the 2 fan up there in the DC area.
As much as we showed Chad Ochocinco and showed him the love, he picked against us, right? In his podcast,
he won't
with
pick
Shannon
against
Sharp.
it. He won't pick against the Bengals.
Yeah, we knew why that was. Yeah, exactly.
I wasn't showing him love. I call him Ojo Stinko, so you can understand I live in Ohio. I could tell you about the Bengals and Browns and their fans, and I don't have love for any of these Ohio teams here, other than the one team I have a connection to, which is a semi-pro team.
So we have a report here coming in from John Neo, as well as Jimmy Lau, that Kirby Joseph's got a knee brace on for today's game.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
So
yeah, he got it banged up last week.
I think he banged his knee on the turf, the top of it, so he may have a Dr. Jimmy's great. I give him lots of support
is awesome.
and repost him a lot. He does great work, and love to have him on at some point. I know he works with a couple other sites, but yeah, not surprising. To me, that's good. It protects Joseph. We're thin in the backfield as it is, but again, I think the trigger man for today's Bengals offense is going to make the difference, good or bad. If he has the best game of his career, if he looks like those guys from the Packers back in like when we were making him a lot of money, that's bad. But I get the feeling we're going to see some turnover-worthy plays, and he's gonna give the ball to us a few times. He doesn't fumble much, surprising, even though he's been sacked quite a bit. But he does have, I think he has something like 4 picks in 2 games already. Let me take a look here. I got his stats right here. So he's played 3 games. He's got 3 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, been sacked 7 times. He doesn't run. He's got 5 rushing attempts for a grand total of 8 yards, including one that was a 1-yard sneak for a touchdown. Years past, back in 23, he played a lot he was the backup and played a lot for Burrow in 23. And he had 12 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Again, it was sacked 24 times in 9 games, so that's still quite a bit. He's not much of a runner, but he is definitely not playing this year anywhere near as good as he was back then when he had a little bit better offensive line and better weapons in the backfield. So.
All right, boys. Well, this looks like folks are coming in. I love chat. This, the chat is my love language. So we'll stay here as long as you're chatting with us. Mike Anderson says Liam's not playing yet. Yeah. But I think we're really optimistic, about his return. And so that window obviously was opened up recently, and he's not going to go unless they feel like he's absolutely going to go. So either one of you guys have a guess? You'd like to see him back, sooner rather than later.
Oh, he's going to be playing against the Chiefs.
So you think he's going to be playing against the Chiefs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't think they thought they needed him this week, and we needed the roster spot more in the defensive backfield because of the injuries there. But the Chiefs, the Bengals and the Chiefs are 2 different teams. The Chiefs are not the Chiefs of years past, but they're still a really good team. And you could put Reeder and Tyleek and Aleem as your top 3 options in the interior, factored in with hopefully a healthier Muhammad and Hutchinson on the edges. And I think you have the ability to make Mahomes look pedestrian, and take him off his game. I think that's when he'll be back. I mean, he practiced all week. He was limited practice, LP. But why bring him off if you don't think you need him, and you'd definitely have a need elsewhere on your roster? Because the thing is, as soon as we bring him, somebody's got to get cut.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it right now, the depth chart, looking at the roster. Probably gonna end up being there'll be a D lineman. I'm probably guessing it's gonna be if I had to guess, probably say Chris Smith. I think that's the guy that's been a D tackle that has been inactive quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then was Wingo inactive last week?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's the other guy that's just conspicuously not making progress. 6th-round pick. He's been around for 2 years now. This will be his 2nd year. He's been elevated because of because of the injuries. But honestly, if McNeil and Levi weren't hurt, he would be definitely like 4th string behind with Tyleek coming on board. I mean, Tyleek was brought in knowing how much, and next year what did I say, Brent? I think we have 4 interior D linemen that are unrestricted free agents or their contracts are voided, and 3 edges.
Yep.
So, we're going to be restocking this D line over the next draft or 2. So Hutchinson and Williams and McNeil and are pretty much the only 3 guys that are back. Everybody else is a free agent. Davenport, AQM,
DJ Reeder,
Lopez, Reeder, they're all free agents next year. So Levi, he's a free agent. Pascal's a free agent. So I think we're gonna see. I don't think they want to cut Mingo because he was brought in to be depth. So that's why I kind of feel it's gonna be Chris Smith because O'Connor's playing by all intents, other than a blown assignment against the beginning of I think it was the Ravens game. He's actually played well. So
all right, guys. Well, let's sew it up. Thanks for everyone who has joined us here at Lions Gray Manes for the pregame show. I don't know. I thought this was a good test. Our first pregame. We may continue to do this. Those of us that are able to, maybe we'll get a live report from the tailgate from DBC when he's down. Maybe at the Tampa game. Or are you going to Kansas City, Brent? No. Okay.
We'll do a pregame show for the Kansas City game.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, let's speak it into existence. But those of you who had joined us, I mean, we just had we had winners in the chat today. You all are winners. And today we're going to win. Troy, are we going to get someone before the trade deadline? Trey Hendrickson. I think, guys, if we're talking about trade deadline stuff, I mean, you're looking at maybe a defensive back, right? Maybe a cornerback, but at the same time, it just doesn't feel like this feels like a next show thing. But I mean, my quick take on that, and we'll go around before we sign off on that because we want to answer Troy's question. And Jim, I knew you were going to be at that game. Thanks for not getting me tickets, by the way. No, I'm kidding, but. I just feel like Holmes he's not going to overpay for someone, and nobody is going to let a great player go at this point. I mean, maybe a team that's, 0-5 or 6 or whatever it is at that point, might just kind of, but it's not like other sports where they have a massive fire sale and let these guys go, and you still got to pay their contracts. So I just feel like we're going to get somebody, but I don't think it's going to be like big name like Trey Hendrickson. You guys, I'll roll it over to you. We'll do this quickly around the horn because we got to get to kickoff.
It's going to be dedicated. It's going to be predicated on injuries and need. We have who we have. We spent an entire pod earlier this week talking about how he's built this team for depth and for the long haul, and also to withstand injuries. Unlike last year where, the D-line ultimately caught up with us. And unlike last year, we have guys that started the year injured that are going to be coming back. So we have veteran players in the system coming back at linebacker, on the D-line, at the defensive backfield, it appears. So offense, knock on wood's been pretty healthy outside of the issue with Decker. So I just don't see a move being made unless it's absolutely has to be made.
Yeah.
And even then it'll take a week or two to get him up to speed.
Brent, how about you?
Yeah, I agree, Dan. I agree, Dan. I think that it's going to be only if necessitated by virtue of an injury, because look, we talked about this on the podcast. Brad Holmes values draft picks. He values the ability to manipulate. And look, we have a lot of players that we have to re-sign. And so in the long run, it's better to re-sign the Laportas and the Jack Campbells and the Brian Branches than it is to, make trades, give up those precious draft picks, and ultimately be able to be in a situation where you're forced to do something that you don't want to do. And so, I think that the only way that the Lions make a trade, I mean, look at last year. We made no trades, and we were down to pulling guys off the streets to field a team. And so I really do believe that Campbell and Brad Holmes believe in their system, believe in what they're doing in terms of building through the draft and re-signing players. So I don't think, despite everybody's wanting to make trades for all these Pro Bowl players, I just don't see it as something that's realistic.
There you go. Yeah, and Troy says we're 4 weeks before trade deadline. So thanks for that clarification. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us. Our score predictions are in. We feel like it's going to be a Lions victory today by quite a few points. Some feel like there's more points than others, but we're going to see. So stay tuned for that. And as always, go Lions.
Go Lions.
Go Lions.
Busts it outside left. Jameer down to the 10. Jameer to the 5. Jameer to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions.
Hand off Berry. Surge to the left side. Breaks the tackle. And he will take it in. Touchdown!